Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 5 of AEW. So, in this episode, we have the close of the first round of the tag team title tournament, as well as some advancing storylines and a lot of intrigue. So, hopefully, you guys will enjoy watching as much as I have enjoyed making this one. Let's start it out by looking at last week's episode of Dark. So, it got a 38 overall, 2200 for the attendance, and a .02 on television. It's 18,277 viewers, and if we compare that, it is up just slightly once again, but nothing significant. So now, let's go into this week's episode of Dark. In an abysmal match, Ace Austin defeated Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Brian Pillman Jr., Brandon Cutler, and El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., it should be El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., because that's what it really is. In 12:55, when Ace Austin pinned Brandon Cutler with an Aces High. Get 22 for the match. That's okay. Dr. Wagner's gimmick is awful, which is not great. Ace Austin gets a 31, so he's the MVP of the match, but this is really just to get these guys on television. You know, none of them are over, and I want to work on these middle four at the very least, getting them over. So it's going to be a long haul project, but I am very much here for it, boys and girls who are watching. Shivani has a sit-down interview with the Wild Cards, just, get them a little bit more TV time ahead of their match. 33 for that one, very happy with it. Tony Schiavone, gotta find some way to use Shivani, man. He is on commentary, but I feel like he'd do really good in this role for sit-down interviews. And then we have a 5 versus 5, so a 10-woman tag team match, I guess that would be. But in the end, Jordynne Grace pins Shanna with the fall for embrace. You can obviously just look at the screen and tell who the competitors are. Looking for standouts, we had Leva Bates had a good performance. Brandi Lauren, Hikaru Shida, they all performed pretty much head and shoulders better than the rest of them. And Ivelisse. Jordynne Grace is still improving, but a lot of these women need to come a long way before they're consistently booked on the show, because it's just dragging the ratings down so much. I mean, it's a 19 for this, and I want to push the women's wrestlers, but this is just not boding well for them. I might have to do a workaround soon, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to keep with it, chat, and see if we can get it going. Shivani has a sit-down interview with the Von Erichs next, and that gets a 28. Again, just wanted to get the Von Erichs some more TV time, help get them over in the tag team title tournament. And Tony Schiavone, obviously, great sit-down interview guy. Angle cooled the crowd a little bit, but we go into a hot main event that gets a 27. Oh, man. Mustache Mountain defeats the North in 14:45. Tyler Bate pins Ethan Page with a Tyler Driver 97. I forgot to cancel Josh Alexander's heel turn, so that kind of sucks, because he's not going to be around that much longer, so we don't need to turn him heel. Tyler Bate carries the match. Josh Alexander also performed very well, but a 27 for the match. Not exactly happy with that. I was hoping it would go down better, but just a win for Mustache Mountain here. Both of these teams lost in the tag title tournament. I think Mustache Mountain's going to stay around. I don't think the North is going to stay around. However, they may come back in the future. So as for the show as a whole, just knowing what we got, I'm going to say I got like a 25. 28. I'm happy with that. That is a lot higher than I thought it was going to be. But once again, Dark is just there to get people over. And that's all I'm using it as right now. Not really weaving in storylines. It's just matches, just getting exposure for all these people. And so, yeah, now we can go into the episode. So before we get into Dynamite, I just want to take another look at the AEW Tag Team Title Tournament bracket. We are closing out the first round, as I had previously said, and the Gun Club will take on Santana and Ortiz. If you remember, the Gun Club were attacked by Santana and Ortiz. Austin Gunn was injured. He will maybe be able to make the match. We don't know. And the Rhodes Brothers will take on the Wild Cards in the main event of Dynamite to round out the AEW Tag Team Title Tournament first round. So I did forget to click record on the video for the very beginning of this episode. So just to recap, there was a pre-show match. It was a 4-team tag match. It was an 8-man tag with 4 teams involved. It got a 39. Tyler Bate got the win. And Santana and Ortiz did go over the Gun Club. I think it was Ortiz pinned Billy Gunn to get them the win. And that is everything that has happened in the show so far. That match got a 41. And now we're going to pick up from there. The Best Friends and Orange Cassidy are backstage, and Chuck Taylor says, "Lucha Brothers, your day is coming." Trent and I are so happy that we get to kick your asses in round 2 of the AEW Tag Team title tournament. We get to be the ones sending you two back home empty-handed. And Trent says, you see, you tried to hurt our friend, and our best friend, Orange Cassidy. So this is for you, buddy. He kind of gives Orange Cassidy a smack on the chest. Orange just weakly lifts up his arm, gives the thumbs up. You know how he does. And Trent kind of like shakes his head. He goes, and once we eliminate those chump Lucha Brothers, we're just 2 matches from the titles. And baby, we can taste the gold. And you see Chuck start to like look around a little bit. He goes, speaking of tasting, man, I'm hungry. Trent, are we going to your mom's house for dinner? And Trent just kind of like blankly stares at Chuck, shakes his head again. He's like, come on, man, focus. You need to focus if we're going to win. And Chuck says, well, I can't focus on an empty stomach, Trent. Trent says, fine. I'll call my mom. I'll ask her to come get us, and I'll ask her what's for dinner, and then we'll be good. Is that okay? And Orange, in between the middle of them, just gives his little thumbs up. We get a 29 for that segment. I don't know. I thought that segment was a little bit of comedy that would go a long way. I enjoyed writing that one. I think it's one of my better comedy segments. But 29, no one in this is over, so we're going to take what we can get. Happy with that. Getting them TV time. In an abysmal match, Nyla Rose defeated Allie in 4:09 by submission with a camel clutch. Nyla Rose makes defense number 2 of the AEW Women's World title, and this gets an 8 rating. An 8, guys. An 8. An 8. They both perform mid to high 20s, and it gets an 8 because no one's invested in the women's division. Match brought the crowd down, and that sucks. In a bout that didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling, Jungle Boy defeated Jake Hager in 12:58 by submission. This gets a 35. This was supposed to be a wild brawl, so it bombed because the crowd was not hot at all. Jungle Boy puts out a 20. Jake Hager puts out a 39. Jungle Boy was off his game, but again, like I said in the last episode, we're just kind of jobbing out Jake Hager at this point. I don't feel like using him. I don't have a plan for him, and he's going to be out of the company soon. The Young Bucks are backstage with Hangman Adam Page, and Nick Jackson says, Hangman, congrats on becoming the number 1 contender. That was a great match last week. Huge win. Matt says, yeah, buddy, we're happy for you. And by the way, are you taking that Chris Jericho offer seriously? Just wondering. And Hangman just looks off-put by them. Like, he looks just done with the Bucks. He says, I want to consider all my options. And I mean, being with Chris would do wonders for my career. But there's actually something I want to talk to you guys about. I don't like the spot you put me in. It seems like Cody set me up for a win. You guys gave me a title match, basically. You put me in a number 1 contenders match I didn't earn. When I agreed to sign here, I did so because I wanted to build my legacy, not have it handed to me. And I want you guys to back off and let me do things on my own. Let me do it on my own. Now, unless you have anything else you want to talk to me about, I'm leaving. So this segment gets a 55, gets the crowd hotter. Hangman Page has had enough of the Young Bucks and the Elite's antics. You can see the rifts starting to form as the Hangman becomes displeased. In a bout that didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling, MJF defeats Tommy Dreamer in 15:54 by pinfall with a Swanton Bomb. 37 for MJF, 40 for Dreamer. 43 for the segment. So I did bring in a number of people just for some job appearances because it's very much needed here. We need some more established people to job out to some younger people. And that's just something we're going to have to do. So Tommy Dreamer jobs out to MJF here. It gets, it was a pretty solid match. It's hopefully going to gain a number of popularity points for MJF, who then gets a segment after the match. He grabs a microphone and he says, what did I tell you? That I would win. I expect more of a challenge than a washed up old man in his pajamas. But how apropos. It's such an appropriate comparison for really all of you. An old, out of shape dude in his pajamas playing wrestler. When I look out in the crowd, that's all I see. So why don't you leave it to the real wrestlers now? I expect to face a real wrestler at Full Gear. I'm going to come to this ring and I want a challenge. I want to show you all why I'm the best wrestler in this company, hell, in the world, and back up what I say. To back up when I say that I'm better than you, and you, and you, and you for sure. So this is your notice. Find me an opponent for Full Gear. You should have a month to find someone good enough to share the ring with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Gets a 43. MJF, excellent segment. He is a great promo, and I feel like this fit the character well. In a decent match, Kenny Omega defeats Sammy Guevara in 12:38 by pinfall with a Cryot's Wrath? Not sure. 73. But, having Kenny Omega or Jon Moxley perform on the show weekly is probably going to be a thing that we have to do because they are two of the best in-ring performers, or Chris Jericho. Like, those three are just so good. This segment at a 73 is going to boost the show so much. Gets the crowd buzzing. This was a steal the show one. Kenny Omega outputs a 78. Completely raises Sammy Guevara to his level. And that's one thing I love. There's performers you get in this game that raise people to their level, and then there's performers that sink to the other person's level. And Kenny being able to elevate Sammy here goes a long way for me and for this show. This really helps. 73. After the match, Omega gets a microphone and he says, Jon Moxley, you cost me a chance at the AEW World Championship, and you are going to pay for what you've done. You're going to pay in blood. And I know you're hardcore, John. You like to bleed, but you've never bled how I'm going to make you bleed. Omega stomps with one foot in the ring. He says, this is my canvas, and I'm going to paint my masterpiece in your blood, Jon Moxley. You wanted a fight, you have a fight. I challenge you to a street fight at Full Gear, and I can promise you, John, you won't be walking away from this one. 84. Kenny Omega improvises well, gets the crowd hotter. Very happy with that one. So, yeah, I didn't mention it earlier in my show, but we are going to have Full Gear. It's going to be Saturday, week 2 of December. This is something commentary will be talking about on the show, but we have had 2 matches confirmed now. MJF will appear, and now Kenny Omega wants a street fight with Jon Moxley. 84 for the segment. Very happy with that. In about that, a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. The Wild Cards defeated Cody and Dustin Rhodes in 22:30 when Tom Latimer pinned Dustin Rhodes illegally using the ropes for leverage. That is not what I put in the Road Agent notes. What the hell? Seriously, what is this? Cody should be distracted by Nick Aldis as the finish, but he illegally uses the ropes for leverage. That is not what the finish was supposed to be. What is up with the game? That's multiple weeks in a row. That's some horse crap, man. I'm very unhappy with that. So it ruined the finish, even though I booked it right this time. The injury that Cody was working through took a big toll, but he still puts out a 64. The match gets a 60. I'm really happy with that. Tom Latimer puts out a 47. Was not expecting that good of a performance from Tom Latimer, but very happy with it. And now we end the show. After the match, Nick Aldis stands in the ring with the Wild Cards. The Wild Cards are restraining Cody in the corner. So he hit Cody. Dustin took the pin. Or maybe he prevents Cody from breaking up the pin. But the Wild Cards have Cody in the corner. And Nick Aldis says, oh, Cody, did you think you'd get away with your antics last week unscathed? That's cute. This was really nothing personal, Cody. You see, this was strictly business. And we are strictly business. And now, Cody, my business is to make your life a living hell. You tried to stop my conquest of AEW, and now I need to squash you like the little pest you are. I hope you enjoyed your time wrestling with your brother here, because it's about to end very abruptly in front of your eyes. Now, Aldis, he has Dustin, he picks him up. There's a chair that got slid in the ring by one of the Wild Cards earlier. It's already there. We don't know how it happened, but it happened. Dustin Rhodes, he has him in position for a pile driver onto the chair on the mat. And Brandy runs into the ring. She tries to pull down Dustin, but before she can even reach Dustin, Camille just spears the shit out of her, just tears her in half with a spear. She's down. Cody's just being forced to watch. He's fighting so hard against the Wild Cards. Aldis delivers the pile driver, and Strictly Business exit the ring while Cody attends to his wife and his brother begging for the ringside doctors to help, and the show ends with Strictly Business standing on the ramp together, triumphant. This only gets a 41. I was really hoping it would do better, but there wasn't enough star power to successfully have Camille fighting for that long, so I shouldn't have rated Camille on her fighting. I thought it was the most natural thing, but she didn't work out too well. 41 overall, not terrible segment, but not the segment you want to end the show on. Now, as a whole, what do I think it got? We did have some really good segments and matches with Omega in there, and the main event was very good, and so knowing we were the main event spotlight, but the angle that ended wasn't very good. So what I'm going to say is this match gets... I'm going to be ambitious, guys. I'm going to say this show gets a 63. I don't think we've gotten close to that so far, but I'm really hoping. 61. Damn. We would have gained popularity in 7 Canadian regions, but growth was restricted due to the limited number of viewers there. I'm pretty sure I got us a new Canadian TV deal. I don't know why we're not gaining viewership. Is it because the industry is bad or something there? I don't know, but it increased our popularity in 16 regions. We're very happy with that. Royce Isaacs was slightly overused. I don't care. 61, that is our best show by far. Now let's see how we did on television. All right, guys, so I'm an idiot. I was looking through the broadcast figures, and it said it was on pay-per-view. So I bought out our Canadian TV deal because I wanted to get a bigger one because this small one was available, right? But as it turns out, this is a pay-per-view deal for Dynamite. And the good thing is it only lasts 3 months, but my dumbass now has Dynamite on pay-per-view in Canada. So